How often did you tell him to slow down? Now, fair dinkum.
I didn't tell him once, to be quite frank with you. Why would you tell Jim Richards to slow down?
I'm Barry Oliver, and this is TARGA Tasmania 1997. If you look at the results, they'll show you that Jim Richards and I were the overall winners by just under 2 minutes. It was our second win in a row in our 1996 Porsche 911 Turbo, and the first time the same actual car had won twice. Ray Lintott and Fred Jacentis was second overall in an identical Porsche, also for the second time. But there's a lot more to TARGA Tasmania than the winners.
Certainly the professional drivers and the professional crews, they do a terrific job of raising the profile of the event, but let's face it, there are another 180, 200 competitors out there, and they are certainly the backbone of the event.
For some people, finishing is enough.
We just want to get around it, get in underneath all the maximum times, get our plate, keep the car in one piece, and get back home, send my driver back to Japan, happy man.
We're here to have a lot of fun, give our sponsors value for money, and just really enjoy ourselves and get home with the car and ourselves in one piece.
Well, I think we'd like to be at the casino in Hobart on the Sunday night. Well, that's about all, I think. Anything over that's a bonus.
One kind of bonus is a category win or a class win. To win your category, you have to beat every other car in your age bracket. To win your class, you're up against cars of the same engine size in that age bracket. And each category is divided into standard or modified specification. For a few, there's the chance of overall victory. Outright victory on handicap is a possibility for any car in the field. And the one thing that everybody in TARGA Tasmania wants is a TARGA trophy.
To win a TARGA trophy, you've got to finish under all the maximum times for all the stages, and there's 36 stages, I think, throughout 5 days. And to achieve that is a challenge in itself, to just not only finish, but also to achieve under all the maximum time.
If you win 3 TARGA trophies in a row, you get a golden TARGA trophy. And for just 2 people, a very special prize is up for grabs. Launceston businessman Bruce Jessup and Adelaide engineer Fraser Gascoigne have each driven in 5 TARGA Tasmanias, and every year, each of them has won a TARGA trophy. That makes them the first 2 people ever to be eligible for the coveted Platinum TARGA trophy. Both are driving V8 Ferraris.
The next car will be eligible for a Platinum Award. A big cheer, ladies and gentlemen.
Well, I just like driving on the open road, maybe just a little above the speed limit, and we can do that legally, which is really good.
We're trying to ignore the whole lot and just sit there and have a good time, but needless to say, in the back of our minds, it's playing on us.
Before we get down to the real thing, we have to sort out the start order so that cars and crews of similar performance are together in the event. So we're off from the Launceston Country Club Casino to Georgetown for the BHP Temco Prologue. The times we achieve on this 4.7 kilometre town TARGA stage will decide our start order for the whole event. First off the line will be the flag car, the 1936 Jaguar SS100 of Yoshiyuki Karatsu from Japan and his Australian navigator Malcolm Rossiter. The cars start the BHP Temco Prologue in category order. Oldest first, newest last. The first digit on the number shows the category, from 1 to 9. The first of the quick times is set by Hugh Palmer and Henry Draper in their 1961 Mini, and this will put them third in category. Ahead of the Mini in category 3 are 2 Austin Healeys, the 3000 of John Moore and Christopher Williams, and the BN4 of Paul and Christine Freestone, who are the first under 4 minutes. Then another Mini takes over, the Speedwell Mini Sprint of Craig Williams and Gregory Hewson. Bob White and Angus MacLeod's Sunbeam Tiger knocks 2 seconds off the Mini's time, and then loses out by 14 seconds to the ISO Revolta of Chris and Dee Stephen. No one in category 5 can beat the ISO's time. Patrick Mewing and Peter Svensson from Queensland in the Lotus Elan are joint fastest. Third fastest are Stephen and Philip Sims in their twin cam Escort. Catching other cars can upset you. but not as much as thinking your bonnet's going to pop up. And Bruce Hogarth and Bruce Walter in their GTHO Falcon join the Lotus for first in category. We're well into Category 6 before anyone seriously challenges the ISO. Jeff Taylor and Lane O'Donoghue come close in their 1974 Porsche 911 Carrera. Next car through is Bruce Jessup and Jeff Smedley's Ferrari, 5 seconds slower and third in category. But it's another Porsche that finally goes fastest overall and takes first in Category 6. Lee Mundy and Guy Dunstan in the 1974 RSR. Third in Category 7 is one of the smallest, the Fiat X19 of Ian Madden and Paul Dorman. Stan Barnes and Ian Wheeler take second in a Triumph TR7 V8, 10 seconds down on Mark Parsons and Oyar Balodas in another TR7 V8. Fastest in Category 8, just beating Lee Mundy with a 3:19.2, are Wakajiro and Ruriko Kobayashi in their 1990 Nissan GTR. They've been to TARGA Tasmania 5 times now, all the way from Japan. Second fastest in this category is John Potter and Ivan Atkinson's MG Metro, with German double world rally champion Walter Röhrl and Michael Russ in the Porsche Museum's 1982 911 SCRS in third place.
BMW, the next car comes up and goes through. The Japanese Porsche comes.
There's a warning about the exit of the new car park section. Luckily, Max and Georgia Warwick in their Porsche 911 RSCS are the only ones to have trouble. Category 9, the contemporary models, is where the fastest time of all is expected to come from. But over 40 of them fail to go faster than the Kobayashis before Peter Fitzgerald and Jeremy Brown in their Porsche 968 Turbo RS go round in 3:18.5. This will be third overall and third in category. Ray Lintott and Fred Jacentis take 5 seconds off this in their fire-breathing 911 Turbo for second place. And then Jim Richards and I squeeze home 0.4 of a second in front at 3 minutes 13 seconds dead. As we line up for the day one start in Launceston, the weather looks great and we're raring to go.
Very nervous.
Why is that?
Because we keep getting lost.
The absolute epitome of motorsportsman's dream, I guess.
Day one, the Tattersalls Loop takes us from Launceston to Devonport and back through 7 Targa stages. The first Targa stage is Lagana, just out of Launceston. Each Targa stage has a minimum time which is the same for all categories and a maximum time which is different for each category. Any time you take over the minimum time is penalty time, and that's how the results are worked out. You have to get under your maximum time on every Targa stage to win a Targa trophy. The minimum time for Lagana is set so that the whole field can achieve it without overdoing it. This is called cleaning or zeroing the stage. The TARGA Tasmania field weaves like a high-speed snake between Launceston and Devonport, with the early cars already going through the farmlands of the Moriarty stage, before the fast end of the field has even started Lagana. Moriarty is another straightforward stage, but it's a bit more complex than Lagana. By the time the fast cars get going, some landmarks will have disappeared, and some new ones will have appeared. Back at Lagana, Scott Kent and Greg Lynn take out the dubious honour of having the first incident of the event. At Moriarty, the speeds are getting up, and tricky hairpins are still tricky no matter what you're driving. As the tail end of the field sets off for the blast through Lagana, the front end is on the last stage of the morning along the Mersey River at Latrobe. A fast left-hander near the finish turns out to be the finish for Les Taylor and Des O'Loughlin in their Jensen Healy. Overnight repairs will see them rejoin the event tomorrow.
627.
Latrobe takes the field on a tight and twisty 4-kilometre run from Latrobe town into Devonport. Most of the field comes through Latrobe reasonably unscathed, although Greg Whiteside and Matt Hunter's Triumph Stag takes a brief detour. Lunch at Devonport, and time to see who's challenging for the overall lead.
Well, according to those times, we're all zeroing them at the moment, so we're all leading theoretically. See, Röhrl's taking it easy.
I feel like driving like a grandfather.
Really, the morning stages of today just to sort of loosen up and you know, get everything organised, because we really don't lose any time this morning. The stage that'll be probably the most competitive will be the next one, Devonport, where the timing is pretty close to whether you clear it or not.
I don't think I'm really that hungry, you know. No, I'm not.
The Devonport stage, 16.5 kilometres uphill and down dale. You really have to go to clean this one. Only 4 cars will manage it. Then the field heads off through open country towards the slopes of Mount Rowland and the next TARGA stage at Sheffield. Sheffield rushes through the forests and farms for 8 kilometres between Studley and Kimberley.
8 right. 50 into a crest.
It's a very fast stage, and police officers Farrell White and Nick Watchorn have gone off in their police-packed Holden Commodore V8. They're badly shaken and they've missed out on golden TARGA trophies, but thanks to the best of safety gear, they're okay. Adam and David Kaplan's Walkinshaw Commodore doesn't look as if it will be travelling 2,000 kilometres over the next 5 days. The second last Targa stage of the day is Deloraine. It's quite long, 10.5 kilometres and fairly fast. Here's some serious muscle from the 60s and 70s tackling it. Longford at last, the one that everybody loves. It's nearly 4 kilometres around the streets of the legendary motor racing town, and quite a few people seem determined to make their own legends. Back on the Deloraine Targa stage, the motoring cavalcade goes on as the rest of the field make their way towards Longford at a variety of speeds. In Longford, the street fight continues. The Palmer Draper Mini leads its category. So does the Beddington Guild Celica. And 2 of Guy Beddington's former navigators lead their category in the Lotus Elan. Sale of the Century's Glenn Ridge and Bob Edwards in the Mazda RX7 are category leaders. Targa regulars Mike Moylan and Kim Chance from Western Australia in the Group C Falcon lead Category 6 Modified. The Stevens in their ISO Revolta and Mundy and Dunstan in their 911 RSR Porsche lead their categories. Bob White and Angus MacLeod in their Sunbeam Tiger have been trying a bit too hard. Mark Parsons from New Zealand and Oyarbalotus are leading their category in the TR7 V8. Father and son combination, the Bath Smiths lead Category 4 MS in the Austin Healey BJ7. Tasmanian-based Bruce Hogarth and Bruce Walter are leading Category 5 for standard cars in their Falcon GTHO. And Jim and I are in front of the other Category 9 modified cars.
You've got 100 metres, you've got to turn left. Into a hard right, not straight on. A hard right, straight on.
At the end of the day, there are 4 leaders who have all cleaned every Targa stage on the day. The surprise of the bunch are Mark Parsons and Oyarbalotus in their 1978 Triumph TR7 V8. Peter Fitzgerald and Jeremy Brown would be in the top 10 too if they hadn't blown a turbo on one of the late Targa stages in the day. They're now down in 28th place. Day 2, the Tasman Trundle takes the field out into the rich farmland and mountain passes of the northeast and then down the scenic east coast to Hobart. It's a big drive at any time, let alone with 9 Targa stages. The first Targa stage, Launceston, starts off on the wide roads of the Franklin Village housing estate. Launceston is hosting a cosmopolitan party of automotive marques, an Aston Martin from Paris, Alfa Romeo, Porsche, Fiat Abarth, Ferrari, another Alfa, TVR, Amaru, and a British MGF with a Japanese crew. Fraser Gascoigne is still on track for his Platinum Targa Trophy, with navigator Keith Hawley, a former Golden Targa Trophy winner. The sidling is next, nearly 14 kilometres of winding switchback, with a minimum time for the whole field of 7 minutes.
10 seconds, 4, 3, 2, 1, go!
To clean the sidling, you have to average nearly 119 kilometres per hour, a tall order even for the Category 9 cars. So everyone is expected to accrue penalty time, and the overall and outright on handicap placings will start to sort themselves out here. This is what Targa Tasmania is all about, driving thoroughbred sports, classic and GT cars on tight, challenging roads, the way the manufacturer designed them to be driven. Of course, some thoroughbred models are a bit easier to drive than others. The Mewing Svensson Lotus Elan is probably more at home on the sidling than the more Williams Austin Healey is in the tight stuff at Launceston. As the faster cars start to come through Launceston, they show a wide variety of ways to get round tight corners. Or not to get round them.
Turn right 2. Very tight. Turn right 2. That's the way. Well done.
The Kent Lynn Mustang is repaired thanks to a great family effort and ready to tackle the sidling.
3, 2, 1, go!
The sidling is even more of a challenge in a faster car, and there are plenty of those in the field. Grandfathers must drive differently in Germany. Nearly 60 kilometres further on, the Winnerleer Targa stage is shorter than the sidling, but still very twisty. And Lactos Cheese's managing director, Russell Patterson and Mark Perry in the Nissan GTS are flying on it. The drivers and navigators are starting to hit their straps now as they tackle some of the more challenging Targa stages on day 2. The sidling certainly falls into the challenging category, though it does have the longest straight on day 2.
And a 9 left. And then go like the Fury. This is very fast. This is the top, this is where we go. There's your speed, baby. Got a short 8 left at the end.
No one cleans the sidling, and the best time is still a minute over the minimum. However, the majority of the field come in under their maximum times, their Targa trophies still intact. No one cleans Winnalia either, but it's not for the want of trying. Weldborough, which comes next, is a very twisty Targa stage, but it does have some fast sections. In the town of Weldborough, just up the road, the locals wait to welcome the mobile motor show. And on the fast part of the Weldborough Targa stage, the ditch waits to welcome anyone who makes a mistake, like Justin and Peter Dickman in their Porsche 924. But this is the only big moment on Weldborough. It's a sensational piece of road, which Aaron Lewis and Peter Ireland are obviously enjoying as their E-Type Jaguar takes them ever closer to winning a golden Targa trophy. Next stage after Weldborough is St Mary's Pass. It has a very fast start, but soon turns into the kind of terrain that is making the Tasman Trundle famous. For the Quigley Holdsworth Falcon GTHO, running in the top 10 outright on handicap, it turns out to be very difficult terrain. A wheel has cracked and will have to be replaced. Next up is the Elephant Pass. Now that they've fixed their wheel, I'll let Andrew Holdsworth describe it.
What do we got? The Elephant Pass is 10.8k, straight, then windy, some very fast sections, turns to a twisty mountain pass. It's like all the others. Bloody difficult.
Targa first-timers, Linda Brangan and Annie Stone from Cairns, in their 1970 Ford Capri, have gone off just round a blind corner below the notorious hairpin. The tail end of the field is still trickling towards the start at Weldborough. The Kaplan's Holden Commodore is still defying the laws of lubrication. And catching Glenn Ridge and Bob Edwards are Peter Fitzgerald and Jeremy Brown, on the move and chasing lost time. The Elephant Pass Targa stage is dry this year, which is lucky, considering that the Capri is just around the next corner. Back at Weldborough, the times are falling rapidly as the quick cars come through.
Straight to 5 right, a short 7 right, followed by 50 to clip 5 left. 5 left, 7 right.
Targa first-timers Craig Dean and Graham Bell in the Lexus Sora have picked up nearly 30 seconds on Ron Mankey and Graham Simmons in the RX7.
Follow this boy now. What's this one? 7 left.
Up on Elephant Pass, Linda and Annie continue to warn the following cars as the rules say they must.
Left 2 or left 1? Left 2, right, okay. Left 3. Left 3. Left 3. Left 3, right 4.
However, Gary Tierney and his son Mark in their Dax Cobra go off as well. They manage to miss the Capri, but it's the end of their TARGA Tasmania. Jim and I have been fastest on every TARGA stage today, up to Elephant Pass, but here we have a pipe come off the intercooler and lose some time to the other front runners in the overall classification. It's time for lunch at Bichonneau, and we all get a chance to have a chat about the event so far.
It's a quick event.
We're going over St Mary's Pass and came into the spectator corner too fast and lost it.
The beautiful east coast of Tasmania was sparkling at a sparkling best for us, so we're delighted, yeah.
When was this car built?
1976, so it's 20 years old.
It's got a mini block with a twin cam head conversion on it. Quite a nice little combination, except for the bulbs, you really wouldn't know it's in there.
It would be nice to go fast on these roads, but it's not allowed for me to go fast. I have to go slow.
Just having lunch, having a little chat, and realised we had 2 minutes to go. See you, boys.
Then we're off to Cranbrook, a very fast, flowing TARGA stage with a couple of tight bits at the end.
Okay, first corner's what?
It's a right 5.
That's not a right 5.
And this is how a navigator stays cool in a crisis.
We don't know. We haven't got the first 300 metres.
Oh, right,
okay. Then there is Triumph, a town TARGA stage with variable road surfaces and the usual tight corners. Most of the year, it's a peaceful fishing village. It's supposed to be easy, but it catches a few out.
You see where to go? No. Oh, it's through here. Shit, that's new. Oh, that's a chicane.
And as Jacko would say, he's still going. Grasstree Hill, the last TARGA stage of day 2, winds quickly over the hill into Hobart to finish off a spectacular day in a spectacular way.
I go flat out or I go nothing.
The hard luck story of the day is Bruce Jessup and Jeff Smedley. Bruce has lost his platinum TARGA trophy.
Well, we checked the valve timing after Longford and we put the water pump belt back on, obviously on the wrong way, and it ran off on the first stage coming out of Launceston.
Hobart at last, and time for a TARGA talk fest.
We're actually on wet weather tyres, which is causing us a disadvantage in the dry conditions. The tyres are too soft and they're sort of squirming. I wish they'd change the darn rule so we could have 8 tyres, 4 dry and 4 wet tyres.
I guess part of the criticism is how do you carry them? There are a lot of people who are in this event with just one car and no support crew, and you know, you've got to think about them. I mean, I'd love to have a choice, But given that we're all in the same boat, you make your bed, you've got to lie in it.
Thank you very much. Welcome to Hobart.
The weak link's the driver at the moment, but then again, it always has been, so.
I think the old Richo will be hard to beat.
We're driving conservatively fast, we're not taking any risks, and we'll keep doing that.
I'm not driving off the planet or anything to try and keep up. I'm just going to drive as fast as I feel comfortable.
It's a real tough call, really, because you've got to go really hard to keep in front of the guys behind you. But if you go too hard, you end up in the scrub on the side, and that's no good at all.
At the end of the day, Jim and I are leading overall from the two Mazda Motorsport RX7s of Stephen Johnson and Zara White, and Gary Walden and Tony Jackson. Gary and Tony have picked up 4 places. Despite running on wet tyres, Ray Lintott is still up there, hotly pursued by that TR7. Walter Röhrl and Michael Roos have amazed everyone by picking up a couple of spots, while Andrew Lawson and Dean Johnson have slipped a couple. Mundy and Dunstan are still in there, but the big movers are Peter Fitzgerald and Jeremy Brown, up from 28th place to 9th overall. The outright positions on handicap are worked out on a formula that allows you more or less time for each stage depending on your car. As a result, yesterday there were about 30 leaders. On day 2, a top 10 has emerged. On top, not surprisingly, is the Parsons Bellotas TR7 V8. Then it's the Mundy Dunstan Porsche, the Stevens ISO Revolta, the Freestones Austin Healey, the Hogarth Walter Falcon, the Mackay Burton Jaguar, the Cooper Duggan Datsun, the Screaming MGC of the Dippies from New Zealand, the Hogarth Falcon, and one of our camera cars, the Quigley Holdsworth Falcon. Day 3, the Optus World Sprint. It's the shortest day, but it's full on. 6 Targa stages and only one easy one. No need for an early start today, so there's time for a Japanese breakfast.
10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go! The multi-million-dollar mobile motor show is on the road again.
Mount Nelson on the outskirts of Hobart is an easy run up the hill, and it's very short.
Just made that. Okay, just settle down.
But the weather doesn't look good.
Road conditions are intermediate.
And further down the D'Entrecasteaux Channel, where the rest of the Targa stages are, it doesn't look much better. Day 3 is obviously the wet day for this year. The Woodbridge Targa stage starts with a steep climb, then goes over the crest of the hill and steeply down the other side. Fraser Gascoigne's Ferrari howls towards a platinum Targa trophy. Philip Tilley and Steve Davis's MGB is eligible for gold this year. And Bruce Bradshaw and Roger Durst in their Dino have also won golden Targa trophies in previous years. Mount Nelson may be an easy stage, but it's a wet uphill start. 7.2 litres of Dodge Challenger is a bit of a handful. Down on Woodbridge, the roads are still patchy and slippery after the recent dry weather. Almost parallel to Woodbridge, the Oyster Cove Targa stage is similar in character. A steep, twisty climb, then a downhill section to the end. Local men Warwick Hughes and Andrew Clark in their Alpha Sud know it well. And even with the sun coming out, Oyster Cove is just as slippery as Woodbridge.
Sorry.
got the wrong gear then, that was the problem. Can't believe I do something as silly as that. So I went from fourth to second. Swore I didn't know what had happened.
The midfield cars are going as hard as they dare through the slippery Woodbridge Targa stage.
Right, camera, have a look at this. We've got hail bouncing on the on the bonnet at the moment as we're waiting to do a stage called Woodbridge. Targa stage 18, second stage on the third day. Distance 9.37 kilometres, and it will presumably be declared a wet track.
At Oyster Cove, Hiromaro Suzuki and Tomiko Hirazawa have gone a bit too fast and rolled their Porsche 911 RSCS. But apart from minor injuries, they're okay. Conditions are still challenging, but the majority of the field are handling it well. Cygnet is the longest Targa stage on day 3, and it's arguably the trickiest. It goes from the town of Cygnet out to the coast, along the coast road and back into Cygnet. This year it's greasy but manageable. There's a bit of overtaking on the very fast section down towards the coast road. And the turn off to Silver Hill Road is always a good spectating spot. The Dodge Challenger is still a handful. You need horsepower on the run up Silver Hill Road, but horsepower isn't everything. The late arrivals and the fast cars have reached Oyster Cove. Jim and I managed to clean Oyster Cove, and so do Ray and Fred. The Kaplan's Commodore has either finally given up smoking or run out of oil altogether. Longley, the second last Targa stage, takes us back towards Hobart along the side of Mount Wellington. Like the vast array of cars in the TARGA Tasmania field, it's a mixture of quite slow and really fast. The Dodge Challenger has finally proved too much of a handful on Cygnet, and no, the Commodore hasn't quit smoking, which might explain why the Kobayashis can't see where they're going. Vaughan Guthrie and Stephen Mills in the RX7 are as fast as anyone through the Silver Hill turnoff. And former rally champions Bob Watson and Monty Suffin are stretching the legs of their BMW 2002. Chris and Dee Stephen are on the handicap leaderboard, but this is no way to stay there. Stephen Johnson and Zara White soldier on for Mazda after Walden and Jackson retire on Cygnet. Fastest are Ray Lintott and Fred Jacentis. Parsons and Belodis are still up there. And Jim and I are second fastest overall. Ridgeway Park is the last Targa stage of the day, a steep climb through the Hobart Water Reserve with a fast finish and a hospitality villa in a good spot to catch the action. It's drying at last, but very cold, and the roads are still patchy under the trees. Not far to go now for the tail end of the field as they hurtle through Longley. Walter Röhrl and Michael Russ finish another day at what they call driving at 75%. And another handicap contender, the white McLeod Sunbeam Tiger, is hot on their heels. The Longley Targa stage, low as usual. They'll be third fastest at Longley.
It's very difficult today. Some of the stages this morning they started off wet, then to dry, went back to wet.
Got a little bit of air over at Crest, corrected it and slipped off onto some grass and actually slipped into someone's backyard and was very nicely camouflaged in the trees for a little while.
Stay on the black stuff and watch the other people fall off.
Maybe we took it too easy, maybe we just fell off the road.
Speaking of falling off the road, a lucky escape for Robert Hughes and Scott Coots in their Mazda RX7 Turbo. Ridgeway Park in the Dry is one place where horsepower really pays off, provided it's pointed in the right direction. And some people are already planning for tomorrow.
Keeping it under 7,000 revs today, but tomorrow we'll be over that.
We thought we had 2 Ferraris going for Platinums, which was a great sign for the mark, but unfortunately my counterpart has dropped out, so the pressure is now on us.
Just keep on pedalling as hard as we can and see where we end up.
Of course, we also today we lost one of the other team cars in Gary Waldron, so it's up to Stephen now.
You know, Steve's going okay, so with a bit of luck he'll bring the car home in first place.
Porsches are in a class of their own, so we're not really worried about that. I'm just going to keep going how I'm going, and you never know the way they rocket off the line and how much stress is on their car, they might break.
By now, every Targa official is quoting Parsons' favourite saying, "I hate to waste a good crowd." The end of an exhilarating day and a chance to relax before the challenges of the Northwest Mountains tomorrow. There are many of the same faces and cars in the overall top 10. Jim and I still lead, but now Ray Lintott and Fred Jacentis have changed places with the Johnson White Mazda to make it a Porsche 1-2. The Parsons Bellotas TR7 is up to 4th, and Peter Fitzgerald and Jeremy Brown have now stormed up to 5th. The other big movers are Vaughan Guthrie and Stephen Mills in the Mazda RX7, up from 11th. And the Kobayashis, jumping from 14th, are out to improve on their 8th place overall in 1996. In the handicap, the top 4 have just moved around a bit, with David Cooper and Jeff Duggan in the Datsun 2000 moving up to 5th, and the Sims Escort getting into the top 10 from 14th at the expense of the Quigley Holdsworth Falcon GT. Day 4, the Northwest Challenge. This is a big day in every way. Starting in Hobart and finishing in Burnie, it covers 500 kilometres in total, with 8 Targa stages. 3 of them in the afternoon will be testing for cars and crews of all ages. First up is the Hobart Targa stage, just a few hundred metres from the city centre, through the parklands of the Queen's Domain. As usual, the officials have to deal with cars of every shape, size and nationality.
It's a 1962 Volkswagen Carmen Gear. I wanted to move back into something that was slower and older and more comfortable, and so we could see some scenery as we went.
3, 2, 3.
Oh, coming down a little bit too fast on one of those nice hairy bends, and had a bit of an altercation with the guardrail on the side.
Hobart is not a difficult Targa stage, but tyres and brakes are cold, and there are 10,000 people watching. The next Targa stage on the way up through the Midlands is Colebrook, which sweeps up the side of a magnificent valley in a series of deceptive bends. And the early cars are already here. At the Domain, the slipping and sliding continues. Craig Williams and Gregory Hewson in the Speedwell Mini Sprint are placed third in their category until they find themselves placed elsewhere. They'll lose time, but they will rejoin the event. Things are a bit less frantic at Colebrook. Back at the Domain, Glenn and Mitchell Crimp's Lotus Esprit Turbo doesn't seem to like slow corners. Slow corners and fast cars make a volatile mixture. About halfway up the Midlands Highway is Ross, another town Targa stage that is well liked both by spectators and competitors. Blind crests, hairpins, railway crossings. Ross has it all. Bob White and Angus MacLeod show the meaning of fighting for control. And this is how a modified engine in a Sabre Mark II deals with over-revving. This is how a luxury car deals with the big bump. And this is how not to treat a wire wheel. The corners on the Domain don't get any faster, but the cars do. A Cobra is not the easiest of vehicles to persuade around a corner. But once you get it pointed the right way, it's happy to oblige. Andrew Lawson and Dean Johnson are hoping to keep their place in the top 10. And Mark Parsons and Oya Belodis intend to stay in front of them. Most of the overall top 10 contenders will clean the Domain and Colebrook. Though Ross is a bit more tricky.
That's a lap 3. Right 5. No, right 3. Right, I'm supposed to be the right 3. Sorry.
Fraser Gascoigne is still doing it perfectly for a platinum Targa trophy. Cressy, the last of the morning stages, is a high-speed run through open farmland. Bruce Jessup, as he promised, is using more than 7,000 revs. Ross is taking quite a toll on wire wheels and rubber and springs Mark Parsons and Oyo Velotis tackle Ross like they do everything else. Flat out. And the Kobayashis are among the few cars to clean Ross. Peter Fitzgerald and Jeremy Brown do it too. Ray Lintott and Fred Jacentis drop a second.
A refreshment bottle had come loose in the back and it was rolling around my feet, and I was trying to drive with all the pedals and everything. Was the drink bottle rolling around my feet. That was pretty interesting. So the navigator had to loosen his seatbelt, reach down and grab it so he could keep going.
Walter Röhrl and Michael Russ are still doing incredibly well. They have a split oil pipe, but it's repairable. Up at the Cressy Targa stage, Vaughan Guthrie and Stephen Meals overtake the Swaddlings in their Alpha. Vaughan and Stephen are among the few crews who cleaned Ross. In fact, this is a pretty good selection from the leaderboard.
The Trustbank Triumph is really good at high-speed stuff. It's built like a brick shit house. It just seems to keep going and going and going.
I think the real race, it should start now.
We'll be quick enough. The Mazdas might catch up to us a little bit.
Within the first 500 metres from a standing start, the Porsche compared to the RX7, we lose 5 seconds just in that 500 metres.
The first Targa stage after lunch is Sathana. Very long, very fast, very everything. The Sathana Targa stage is one of the world's great roads. The ideal stretch of road to give a thoroughbred car its head. And there's free advice available from the spectators for Japan's Yoshiyuki Karatsu.
Give it on!
Some more thoroughbreds gallop over the top of Mount Claude. And at the bottom of the hill, there is a chance to test those nice hot brakes. A bit of Irish driving here from Peter Horan and Karen Alderson in the MR2. The Wilmot Targa stage is a new stage, shorter than the other afternoon stages and more flowing. This is how it looks from inside the car.
Right 3. GLF and then a right 5. GLF. Okay.
Fastest overall here are Parsons and Velotis in the TR7.
Here it is.
Guns Plains is both long and tight, with narrow farmland roads that leave very little margin for error. This is a favourite place for errors. You come over a crest and you take a right, the wrong right. And this is the right right. Richard Longy and Peter Mason in the 1961 Ferrari give way to Ian Johnson and Philip Burton's 1972 Falcon GT. The Sathana Targa stage used to be a well-kept secret, but now it plays host once a year to muscle cars from every country in the world.
We'll keep going, we'll just keep driving how we're driving. We're pulling away from the guy behind us, so
you never know what might happen at the front there.
You know, he's just really driving it with a 50-year-old head, I think.
It's a fair bit of pressure from now on. This is where the fast stuff starts.
Peter Fitzgerald and Jeremy Brown finally call it a day at the end of Sathana. It's all over for another year.
Looks like we've blown a head gasket again. We thought we cured it this time with our high technology engineering that we put into the car, and it's let us down again.
How come when you've got a problem, the media's always here?
And at Guns Plains, wrong way, go back. Fraser Gascoigne's still going strong for his Platinum Targa Trophy. But is that an expensive noise? That'd be the first time a 200SX has been up that road, and that'd be the second. Guns Plains does have its faster sections too. This is at Preston. Rihanna is just as long as Sathana, and again it has everything. Tight sections, narrow roads, quick sections, lots of blind crests. Brian Taylor and Eddie Lakowitz are actually facing in the wrong direction. There's nobody coming, but let's get out of here before somebody does turn up. Not much time lost, they're still on track for a Targa Trophy. From one of the slow sections to one of the faster ones. Back at Guns Plains, some people are getting it right. And some people are getting it almost right. Glenn Ridge and Bob Edwards usually do get it right. Walter Röhrl and Michael Russ still reckon they're driving at 75 to 80%. This looks more like 100%. And here's how it happened. William Houston and Gary Anderson in their Mazda MX-5 are caught on Guns Plains by one of our camera cars. Tony Partridge and Barry Cronin in their 1968 Alpha GTV. Every picture tells a story. Fraser Gascoigne's Ferrari, faithful for 5 years, has dropped a valve. There will be no Platinum Targa trophies this year. Andrew Walter and William Vagg in the Commodore HSV Club Sport speed on towards Rihanna, where the right way around a tricky corner is demonstrated by a Di Tommaso Mangusta. Then by a Porsche, a Ferrari, and another Ferrari. Gary Quigley and Andrew Holdsworth in the GT Falcon are about to get a demo of how not to deal with a tricky corner from Brian Robinson and Jim Boughton in the Mustang. They do get the Mustang back on the road. On the Guns Plains Targa stage, Mark Parsons and Oyo Belodus in the TR7 V8 are locked in battle with Stephen Johnson and Zara White. the Mazda will be just 2 seconds faster over the Targa stage. The Kobayashis lose a lot of time here. Ray Lintott and Fred Jacentis will be fastest overall on the Guns Plain stage. When we get to the Rihanna Targa stage, there's plenty of action for the spectators at the Natone corner. It's a very slow corner, and the faster cars approach it very fast. Too fast for Damien Daruniak and Nick Alexopoulos in the Porsche 968 Club Sport. Mark Parsons and Oyar Balotas only just get away with it. And Jim and I arrive in the middle of it. The Mini Sprinter's back on the road and doesn't look or sound any the worse for wear for its excursion in Hobart earlier in the day.
We've got an oil leak at the rear and got a little oil fire, which wasn't a major problem, but of course we couldn't physically drive all the way from town to here, so we're just driven into control, which we must do.
That's a very noisy Porsche.
We did quite a few jumps today and bottomed out the car quite a few times. We're just checking it all over, make sure it's all okay, because it's another long day tomorrow.
The top 10 overall looks much the same as it did yesterday, with 2 new arrivals. Tasmanians Lynn Rattray and Hedley Browning in the Mazda RX7, and Targa regulars Warwick Fremantle and Sam Davis in their camp quality Celica GT4. In the outright on handicap section, most positions stay the same, but the top 8 are joined by Bob White and Angus McLeod in the Sunbeam Tiger, and by Walter Röhrl and Michael Russ in their Stuttgart Porsche Museum piece. While everyone else is enjoying a quiet aisle, Jim and I are trying to get a 20-minute penalty overturned. We're sure we haven't infringed the supplementary regulations by getting a tow from the end of the last Targa stage of the day to just before the final control at the Burnie Civic Centre. Day 5, the last and the longest day from Burnie back to Hobart. The 519-kilometre Western Enduro follows the rugged west coast of Tasmania, where the weather comes in on the roaring 40s. And some of it's just arrived at the Hellier Gorge Targa stage.
Look at that. Now I tell you, how fast would you like to go with those? They tend to lift off above 180 k's.
The good news for Jim and me is that we're still in the lead. Our protest has been upheld. Hellier Gorge is always the wettest and slipperiest of all the 39 Targa stages. After a fast start, it gets very involved indeed, and it has plenty of variety, apart from predictably wet weather. Just after the Hellier River, Bob Watson and Monty Suffin have a quick pit stop to fix the fuel pump in their BMW 2002. Their rally experience pays off. It's fixed and they're off, still chasing their Targa trophy. The Mount Black Targa stage comes next, a very fast stage that takes us right to the edge of the mining town of Rosebery.
Okay, got the left 4, right 4, got the right 4. Right 4 continuing. Okay.
Just down the main street is the start of the Rosebery Targa stage. Rosebery is another of the faster stages and very much a West Coast one. Here's the first hazard, not far out of town. Just over this crest is a deceptive right-hand bend.
right 4 on the crest, left entry, right 4 on the crest.
Oh, right, okay. I was thinking it was left 4.
Left 4.
And back at Hellier Gorge, the weather is looking worse. It's compulsory to drive with our headlights on TARGA stages, but today it looks as if we need them. Lintott and Jacintas are still burning to win, and they're 14 seconds faster than us on Hellier Gorge. The front end of the field has reached Strawn, halfway down the west coast. The Strawn TARGA stage is a fast but twisty run from Strawn to Queenstown. The top 10, still pursued by rain, have reached the Rosebery start line. Down south, on the Strawn TARGA stage, the times are getting shorter as seasoned competitors arrive on the stage. That gearbox sounds a bit seasoned too. It's a wonderful place for a drive, even if the scenery is going by a bit quickly. The weather has occasionally been kind today, but not for the last cars in the field. The rain has followed us again to Strawn. The Kobayashis have had a close look at the scenery. The Parsons Belotas TR7 V8 is carrying some scars too. At the end of the Strawn stage, we tour down the hill for lunch at Queenstown and a very short rest before tackling the 99 bends of the famous Queenstown TARGA stage. The Queenstown TARGA stage does have something like 100 bends in its 6-kilometre length. It's known for being slippery in the wet, and it is wet today.
Two again.
The scenery here is incredible.
Left 2.
You'd think we wouldn't have time to look, but some of us do.
Left 3.
What's over here?
Left 3, left 3.
Oh, the waterfall.
Don't look at that. Left, right 3.
Oh, the waterfall.
Left 2. Yeah, saw it. Left 2.
While some of us are pussyfooting up the hill at Queenstown, The rest are enjoying dry weather and high speeds up on the Mount Arrowsmith Targa stage. The Mount Arrowsmith Targa stage is the longest and fastest stage in the whole event, deliberately saved for the last day by the course designer John Large. 53 kilometres of every kind of terrain Tasmania has to offer. The Targa Targa stage comes after Arrowsmith. The third last stage of the event, it's only about 9 kilometres through the Nive River Valley. It's not particularly difficult, but we all take more than the minimum time on it.
So here we are, right, 3. And then you got a left 4.
On Arrowsmith, Mark Saxby and Martin Rees and the M3 BMW show what a difference 24 years of technology can make. The descent to the Nive River at Targa is hard on brakes, but you don't need them so much going up the other side. Back in Queenstown, Mark Parsons and Oyo Balotas have a tale to tell about the damage to the TR7.
Oh, we had quite a big accident on Mount Black. Really lucky. It went right off the edge of the road, down in amongst some trees, and something just bounced us back up on the road. Then we went down there into it again. I thought we were gone for all money. I'm pretty sure something like a tyre might have gone soft or something like that. It was real scary, you know, like we were just along for the ride. And when we sort of back up on the road, we were still going along in 4th gear. And I've just seen over here that we've now got 2 tyres that are no good. Now we're going to have to go through Arrowsmith without any spares.
Oh boy, I can do without this, I can tell you.
The Ellendale Targa stage is a beautiful stage, with the start control on Meadowbank Dam.
Right, here we go, past the right 5. Bottom, then we got a right 6, and a left 6, and a right 6. Right 6, left 6, right 6.
Des and Antoinette Dillon have no clutch in the Alpha, so Des has been doing clutchless gear changes all day. Incredibly, he will achieve his times and win a Targa trophy.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1, go.
There are plenty of fast cars on Arrowsmith, but Aaron Lewis and Peter Ireland need fast hands to repair a broken distributor on their E-Type Jaguar. They will miss their maximum time for this Targa stage and their golden Targa trophies by 1 minute and 39 seconds. The final Targa stage of Targa Tasmania 1997 is New Norfolk, a redesigned stage through the grounds of the Royal Derwent Hospital. It's short, but it's fun. A great competition finale to the 1997 event.
Turn left up here. Woo, woo. 133. Under the minimum. 133. Oh, congratulations, Dave.
Whack the bastard.
At the end of 2,000 kilometres, Jim Richards and I take out first place overall. Behind us are Ray Lintott and Fred Jacentis. Mark Parsons and Oyo Belodis have displaced Stephen Johnson and Zara White from third, and there have been a couple of other movements within the top 10 place getters. Mark Parsons and Oyo Belodis are not only third overall, but they appear on both sets of podiums by taking outright victory on handicap from Chris and Dee Stevens' ISO Revolta, and the very fast-moving David Cooper and Jeff Duggan in the Little Datsun 2000 Sports, with no new faces in the top 10 from day 4.
The winner for 1997, ladies and gentlemen, Jim Richards.
As I said at the start, the record will show that Jim Richards and I arrived at the Rest Point Hotel Casino the overall winners. But there's a lot more to TARGA Tasmania than the winners. Over 85% of the field finished the event with their cars in top condition, and with an experience they'll never forget.
Waving to the crowd. 2,000 kilometres later, their medallions, and congratulations to them. Congratulations. The very latest from Lotus in England.
We've gone home, so off you go.
It's nice to see that Walter Röhrl is slightly closing.